Alright everybody, welcome back to another Xvault gaming video. Xvault here, and yes, today we're going to go through your first batch of the salty batch files, of course, your first dose if you will, and of course we're still having a little bit of teetering in regards to Astrobot success, as well as that PlayStation 5 Pro, so a lot more salt, kind of just diluting around those two subject matters here, so we have some fun to be had, as well as some inner Xbots turmoil, if you will. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump to it. Alright, so like I said, what we're going to do is get right to the salt as usual here, the good stuff, just enough sodium to not make it overload for you in your system, but nonetheless, let's start off here. We're going to start off with that salty Astrobot success as far as the sales here. We have plenty of these individuals for this example here. So Turboverse TV, this is new to me. Apparently this dude's been around and been spreading quite the tornado of misinformation, if you will. But as you can see with all this stuff here, Astrobot sales are abysmal and further proves PS5 Sony fanboys really don't buy exclusives. So that's a narrative they like to run with, of course. They just grasp onto that because PlayStation gamers don't buy games, especially exclusives, right? So that's what they like to run with to make themselves feel better, pat themselves on the back. But lo and behold, Mr. Matt Pescatella, as block happy as the individual is out of nowhere, but he at least provides the information we need. He states, don't usually talk weeklies, but wanted to add some context to the UK reporting from last week. Across both physical and digital, Astrobot ranked second in unit sales in the US for week ending September 7th, behind only NBA 2K25. And the Astrobot DualSense was the week's best-selling accessory. Solid week one. Absolutely. Nobody said that this thing's going to do gangbusters out the door like Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead, Call of Duty, anything like that, but this is a pretty fresh, in terms of speaking to the general public, a pretty fresh IP as a whole. This is fantastic news. Now, this again is one of the best-selling platformers in quite some time, they were saying, in regards to in the likelihood of Mario and stuff like that. But that being said, that was your context for it. But again, as we can see, they like to just run with it. It didn't do that great. You guys are done. It's over. Instead of worrying about the stones throwing in their own glass houses, right? It's just like, whatever you guys need to tell yourselves, right? It's that saying, whatever you need to tell yourself to sleep at night is essentially how this works out, right? It's weird. It's delusional.
Delusion.
We go over this a lot. But it's just, it really is derivative of somebody trying to come up, and I hope I eventually have one day enough time to create some sort of this weird documentary about this, because it's just so bizarre. So is it truly grifting, or are they truly thinking this way and they truly believe it? Because some of them, I do believe this. I mean, I don't know what else can be said about it, but stay tuned. I mean, a documentary can be a thing. I mean, we're going to have years and years of examples, so if not a decade worth of examples here, folks. But that being said, let's move on from that, of course. Now, what I was kind of alluding to, we kind of have some bot-on-bot violence here, unfortunately, for that community here. We're going to feature Paris as well, which I have to give kudos to Paris here. We consider Paris in that ecosystem because he's a big Xbox fan, and definitely waivers, right? Of course, but this is a great interaction, folks. Sit down and grab a bag of popcorn real quick here. So, Paris stating, in regards to the catfish, Andrea Piccinini, aka Joseph Cruz, we've featured them multiple times on this channel. They still stand by being a female who talks the hardcore console war aspect of things, and that's just not it. I have not ever seen a female dive that hard into console warring. That aside, let's start here. This is in rhetorics to what Andrew Piccinini, Joseph Cruz, said to him. But Paris, you've done and said a lot of highly questionable things, so I asked, but I'll say again, leave me out of your ridiculous console war nonsense. It's childish and I want no part of it. Feel free to unfollow and or block me. So again, kudos for that. At least he's standing his ground and knows this person is beyond delusional. But as you can see here, Extension, the catfish here, stating, you can disagree with my gaming opinions, but turning that into a personal attacks is what PlayStation zealots do. They use the zealot word a lot. It's really odd. And then, of course, parentheses. Remember how they threatened even devs? Because Xbox people haven't threatened Sony devs or Xbox devs themselves. But yes, again, run with that delusion. We can also see how messed up you are. I mean, this has got to be the tip-top most embarrassing thing when you're getting called out by somebody like Paris to that nth degree. You shouldn't behave like that. It's just video games.
Cry some more.
But you're gonna sit there and tell somebody else that you catfish in regards to that it's just video games. But you can sit there on Christmas Day, the year that Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart was released, you came out and wrote a novel on Twitter, on X, in regards to how you felt that it was overhyped, all this stuff. I'm not going to go over that rhetoric again, but it's just video games, right? Sure. And then, of course, you used to be reliable, and I even defended you before. Have a nice day, yada, yada. Of course, it's just like, I used to defend you until you don't agree with my antics, and then now I'm writing you off, of course. But, and then, of course, I game how I like. He asked you to leave him out of it, just do what he asked and move on. True. Absolutely do that. He wants nothing to do with you. I wouldn't even responded. I would have been over with there. But, and then on this other example, he keeps going, of course, I will, but I had to clarify about that BS that PS Zealots keep spreading about me, and many just assume it's true, didn't even have anything to do with my comment. So again, they're latching onto the fact that they are a female. They are not, and it's so weird. They've been ousted multiple times. It's been all over X, social media. I'm not going to dox somebody. That's not what I do on this channel. Not happening. But the proof is out there. It's not hard to find, especially on social media. A lot of folks on there do have like pictures and all that stuff. But it all lines up. It just 100% adds up of who they are. And they messed up. They flood. But they continue to act like that didn't happen. And they are this female antagonist or protagonist, if you will, in regards to this whole crusade, this delusional crusade. It's really bizarre. Nobody else, aside from Paris recently, that I've ever seen, has called them out in the Xbox community, and a lot of them follow this person because of the pure delusion. But then again, young Metro, as you can see here as we have it up, you expect people to act nice to you when you disrespect many PlayStation devs, even call their game a copy of Mario. Get out of here, stupid dog. Now that's true. And it's you see the rhetoric, some people understand and know and call it out, but not enough, right? That's why they continue to do it. If enough pressure was on this person, this individual, to be like, knock your crap off, you're weird, you're delusional, stop catfishing, it's beneath you. At this point, it's beneath you even further than what is already beneath you. It's just stop the charade. Come out with it. You're like, yo, I'm just another guy over the top about video games, whatever, and move on. And your little loyal followers will still stick with you. You'll lose a few for a little bit, but you'll get some back. But it's just weird. You see how weird it is when I'm talking about documentaries and so on and so forth? It's just weird. So a little bit of salt back and forth, a different type of salt in between that community there. However, I thought that was great. It's been a good time seeing that roast happen throughout the thread. I wish I could share more, but we got more to go over, so enjoy that one while you did. But now we have another separate category of delusionalists, right? Here you can see I'm the Great Game Pro, the final boss here. Now, I leave all politics out of this channel. This is not a political channel. This is not me to weigh in on my political beliefs or anything like that. So disregard the fact that this has to do with politics to a point when he's calling out Donnie here. But Sony is a hostile foreign company, and if Donnie wins, he needs to punish them and prop up Microsoft. Now, again, all presidency aside, election year, all that stuff, whatever, not bringing that up here because to each their own and so on and so forth. But the fact that this dude is being super weird about Sony as a hostile foreign country, and if Donnie wins, he needs to punish them and prop up Microsoft. Like, now we're bringing politics into video games, folks, to where we're supporting an American-made company that gets its parts from all over the world. Do we see some contradictions going on here? But this person is beyond that. And it's just sad and pathetic, and I don't know what else to say about that, because it's gross. It's just weird. It's just weird to say that, because this type of person truly believes that sort of stuff. I mean, just nastiness, right? And again, I'm not saying those on the Sony side haven't said stuff like that. It just doesn't come across me or my feed. I don't get sent any of that for examples, and I see this stuff quite often. Wanted to share this weird example because we're on another level of delusion here on this episode, folks. So enjoy the delusion, and be sure to drink a lot of water. Keep yourself hydrated, washing that sodium down here. But let's go on to our final picture example before we get to a couple video examples here. Now, to me, let's go over it. It's King David, right? I think a lot of you, if you are on social media, you are fully aware of this dude. He constantly sits on Babel. Let's go over this, and I'll go over my thoughts here. But of course, he has a bunch of videos out there, and these are examples. PlayStation is falling apart from the inside, meaning there is no PS6. He goes on stating, PlayStation is losing all their games to Xbox, no PS6. Continues, no PS6 because PlayStation going bankrupt. Xbox Series S price drop to hold the line, because that's his thing, right? Holding the line, which is, again, bizarre. So far, 3 or 4 examples already out of being completely wrong here, and he doesn't stop. And then, of course, we have State of Play confirmed. There is no PS6. Really weird, right? Bizarre. So 4 times here we have an example saying there's no PS6, but at the time of this recording, it is heavily rumored that they are fully, and by rumored I mean almost basically confirmed, that they are deep in the development of PS6, making backwards compatibility a primary aspect of the PS6. So again, he just doubles down. There was no proof stating that there was no PS6. There's no proof stating anything that was even rumored that there wouldn't be a PlayStation 6. Any of that stuff. So he goes on and he has plenty of examples where he sits there and says, you see, I'm right 98% of the time. It used to be 100%, then it went to 99%. Now he's calling himself 98% of the time he is right all the time. And he's right maybe 5% of the time. He's wrong 95% of the time. And he has a lot of followers, and they will, of course, stick up for him hardcore, back up what he says. They'll try to play it off as it's content, it's funny, it's entertaining, all this stuff, and be that as it may, he's being honest, though. He's being completely honest. This isn't satire, folks. This isn't satire. He thinks it's real. He thinks it's legit, that there is no PS6 coming. It's really weird. I don't know what else to say to that. It's like the delusion. This episode being the theme of hardcore delusion, if you will. And I can't say much more than I do enjoy his backgrounds, right? I love Marvel. We got Ghost Rider over here. We got Spider-Man here. You don't see a lot of other stuff. I want to find a way to rotate some stuff. But I give him props because he has some badass hot toys and other stuff. Marvel figurines. I do appreciate that as a Marvel stan here, right? But that being said, it's like, when is enough enough? Why do people latch on to misinformation? Again, it's super interesting to me as far as wanting to kind of dissect the thoughts here. And he is a bit of a grifter, right? He kind of knows that. He believes the bullshit that he says, though. And he makes his followers believe what he says. And it's like this weird, authentic, just corporate loyalty to this brand of misinformation to make sure everything's okay. You're leading people down a path of disappointment and being upset, and I mean that just does so many things that are awful, right? But again, so weird, so salty, so wanting the words that they speak to become real in existence. They speak it, they're hoping it happens, right? It's not happening, right? There is going to be a PS6. I'm sorry, there is. Sorry for those that didn't want there to be one, especially for the fanboys out there, but it is what it is. There's going to be a PlayStation 6, just like there's going to be a PlayStation 5 Pro that they swore was not going to happen. Enough of that, though. Let's continue on here, folks. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm on a major soapbox this episode, but it's just like the delusion is so thick, I can't see past anything. But anyways, let's get to our first video example here. Of course, we have Jez from his little podcast as well. But talking about if there would be an Xbox Pro, we'll talk about that. Go ahead and take a look at this here.
Cody Bishop with the 199. Do you think Xbox not releasing a Pro box is good? I think Xbox probably realized that if they were to sell a Pro, it would most likely they would have to sell for the same price that the PS5 Pro is at, and that they probably don't have the user base to buy it in the numbers that they would need people to buy it in. Because they have a hard enough time getting people to buy their $499 console and their $299 console, let alone a $699 console. So they probably thought it wasn't worth it for them.
Yeah.
And I sort of feel like Xbox ran the numbers and was like, no, it's going to be too expensive, and there's really no point, and we're not going to be able to sell these in the numbers that we want, so we're not going to bother to do it. Like, if you were to ask me, if Microsoft came out and was like, we're offering an Xbox Series X2, and let's say it was offering the same stuff the PlayStation Pro is offering, and you were saying, hey, Rand, would you want this? I'd be like, yeah, I'd get it. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so he speaks some truth to it, right? Look, Xbox Series S's and X's right now are not selling like they should. If they came out with a Pro model or a mid-gen refresh of an Xbox console, not a lot of people are going to buy it, right? He's being honest there, but then he turns around at the end, he's like, but I would. Of course you would. Of course you would. And again, it's for the enthusiasts. We get that, but it's just not going to sell. And again, the PS5 Pro is also an enthusiast console. If you want that, it's not needed. It's just giving you options. I get that. But that's him saying that is like, yeah, I would. Xbox is DOA, but why would you? You have a PC. You have a PC. Why would you? I get it. I'm a console dude. It's easier to plug and play and this and that, but he rigorously plays on his PC as well. And when you're spending that much time and effort and you're used to the PC ecosystem, I don't understand why you're flipping back and dividing some time in between an Xbox, but that's just me. Everybody can do what they want, right? I don't care in that aspect, but I always find it a little bizarre because it just comes down to that corporate shilling. Like, I'm sorry, if shoe was on the other foot and PlayStation was doing that, I'd either hop over to Xbox. And we're talking about if Xbox actually had exclusives close to their ecosystem for a while before even hitting PC, like PlayStation's doing, shoe other foot, I would either go to Xbox or I'd make that jump to PC, whatever would suit me more. I wouldn't have a PC and a system that does the same thing when I know that system and ecosystem is on borrowed time. That's just odd to me. But again, to each their own. But I find it bizarre that they speak some truth to it, but then, by the way, I'm still going to throw money that way. Whatever. Whatever, dude. But at least he spoke some truth, so I'll give some credit there. But again, they like to do that. They'll speak some truth. The next day, they'll sit there on that delusional throne and spread that misinformation, false hyperbole. I can't say it. Hyperbole. This needs to be a blooper reel. Hyperbole. Thank you. The hyperboles. I can't even talk right now in regards to that because it's just like, what the hell is going on today? However, that being said, let's move on to our final video here. This is also a ring around the table in medieval times, if you will, in regards to coping. Well, this is Xbox's next thing. We have Ryan and crew, Destin involved in that, right? On IGN, talking about what Xbox can do. Let's go ahead and take a look at this here.
This has set Xbox up from easy W. Release your handheld announcement anytime within the next year. It's going to be a huge W because what could they cap that? Like, they could probably sell that for $499 and nobody's going to bat an eye because they have this $700 thing that right. PlayStation just announced. Do I think that the handle will be $499? No, I think it'll be more comparable to whatever the Steam Deck currently is priced at and give you different SKUs to go for. And then whenever they announce the next console, I bet that they were not targeting $699 for their price point. They were probably targeting $599 for their price point of the most powerful console ever. They just got $100 extra that they can throw into that thing to make it even stronger in terms of a value proposition for anybody who wants that experience. So I think this has set Xbox up for a W. I think them sitting out of the mid-gen refresh is going to result in a chance for them to regain their footing and see success.
Yeah, I'm with you, Destin. I think, I mean, I've said this before. I want to see the Xbox handheld become the Series S of the next generation. Have that be the quote unquote low end device where it's sold cheaper, but in this case, it offers you not just a more affordable way in, but also you can dock it to play on your TV or just take it with you and go. That would just be such a win for Xbox and the Xbox ecosystem, and especially with, paired with Game Pass. That is just going to be a great way to go. And I'm just taking a look here, Destin. So the base, because we're on the revision 2 of the Steam Decks, the base Steam Deck now is $400. Then there's a $550 version, which has an OLED screen.
If you scroll down, you can get a Steam Deck for $349. Sorry, Ryan. It's at the bottom.
Oh, right. That's the version 1. Yeah. So they are phasing those out in fairness, but you're right. That is a new device that you can get right now for $350. Yeah, I think I would be hoping for $400 to $450, but.
All right. So again, the next thing they can do, which is something I've called back by the way, for many videos ago. If you've been following along, you've been a subscriber of the channel for a little while, I've talked about how I feel if Xbox is going to succeed in some way aside from just Game Pass and being a third-party publisher, is entering the handheld ecosystem. This is heavily rumored that they will have a handheld of some sort. We don't know what it looks like. We don't know the cost. We don't know the specs, anything like that. However, I said they needed to do that a while ago. If they enter the foray, at some point, and we're obviously not going to probably see that until next year at some point at the earliest, we have Steam Deck and ROG Ally, and we're going to have the Switch 2, or I hope that Nintendo names it the Super Switch, right? Or something like that, right? The Super Switch. But there's so many competitors at this point that it makes you stop and pause and think and like, well, what's the success they're going to have? Again, they're going to have the enthusiasts of Xbox, the hardcore fanboys and the King Davids and all that, and the Jezzes, and everybody that follows that. And they'll have that, but I don't know, is that going to push Game Pass numbers? Is that going to push enough hardware sales? Are they going to find success as Steam Deck is continually not really reinventing, but putting out new models and stuff of the Steam Deck, right? They're going to do better screens. They're going to do better with the guts and the GPUs and the RAM and everything that's needed, as well as their ecosystem, how that expands and how fluid it is. And the same as ROG Ally and anybody else that wants to join in, because there's clearly a market for handhelds as devices, especially being a PC open platform type of thing. And Switch 2 or Super Switch, hopefully, if they get off the ground running, have those games hit with it, they have cool features and all that too. Where does the Xbox handheld fit in? Is this a lost cause? Do they jump in as one last gasp and hope for success? Because, I'll admit it, I didn't think the PlayStation Portal was going to be a success. I got it because, again, I'm an enthusiast, and I thought it would work with me by streaming, and if someone's using the TV, or I'm visiting somebody, and I'm on some internet of some sort, it works out. It has worked out. It's worked out at airports for me. It works just fine, and I enjoy it, and I think it's a great little machine, and $200 is not much to ask in regards to the functionality of that. But yeah, I don't know where we're looking or what it's going to look like if they do go that direction, right? That's the interesting part. If you were a betting man, I know some of you out there already have told me, I think they'll find some success. They'll be fine with it, and I think it's a good opportunity. And it's like, well, will it really be? Or is that just the Xbox fans out there, the fanboys out there, hoping and believing that that's what's going to save it and what's going to do something with it. So, and there's now a rumored PlayStation Vita 2 or whatever it ends up being called going to be in the making as well. So at what point is it going to be oversaturated? And if PlayStation also gets in there with the Switch, and we know that PlayStation's more popular worldwide, just like Nintendo is, you know, it's just, does Microsoft just sit there and say, you know what? Look, we already know, because they have to know. They have to know deep down in the barracks, right? They have to know what competition's out there. They have to hear rumblings or insiders or something like that that tells them this is your competition and this is what future competition is going to look like or will look like. Here you go. So what do they do? Do they pull the trigger and try as one last gasp, or do they pull it back and say, look, yep, look guys, you can stream anywhere, you can play our games anywhere, Game Pass is our motto, enjoy doing that, we're going to offer value here, we're also going to do some games, but we're also third party so we can make some money. You know, we'll see what happens. But the salty part of that video, circling back around, is they are coping. This is what could happen, this is what should happen, just hoping. Destin and Ryan especially, just hoping. And, you know, rather than holding them accountable, they just hope and create this false hype, and the circle continues to go round and round. That being said, we'll wrap up here. I know that was a lot to talk about after the video, but that's a heavy subject. Should have probably put it onto another video, but I thought it was good to talk about. It's good to see the copium throughout this, and the delusion is super deep. It's neck deep at this point. And so is the Saul. Plenty more to come, of course, but we'll wrap up the video here, folks. Definitely a lot of subjects here, so I'd love to hear from you down below in the comments. And also, if you could, leave a like. Both those things do help out the algorithm, of course. And if you haven't already, definitely consider subscribing, helping out a small content creator like myself. Thank you all so much. We are continually growing. Thank you. I hope you enjoy the content. I appreciate your support as always. I can't say it enough. That being said, enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. And just remember, don't be a salty batch. And we'll see y'all next time on the next Xvault gaming video. And until then, take care.